Have you ever felt that crushing tension between wanting to enjoy right now and pushing towards something bigger in the future? You're not alone. The gap between where you are and where you want to be can feel paralyzing, like you're constantly running on a treadmill that never stops. But here's the truth that most people miss. Contentment and ambition aren't enemies. They're actually partners in the journey toward meaningful success. If you want to learn how to truly thrive while chasing your biggest goals, you'll find exactly what you need in this video. So hit that subscribe button so you don't miss this kind of practical wisdom, and let's dive in. The secret to being content while chasing big goals starts with understanding something fundamental about how your brain works. When you're focused entirely on the destination, your brain enters what we might call a perpetual deficit mode. You're constantly aware of what you don't have, where you're not yet, and how far you still need to go. This creates a mental state that's exhausting over time, no matter how motivated you feel in the beginning. The problem isn't that you're ambitious. Ambition is beautiful. The problem is that you've been taught to sacrifice the present for the future in ways that actually work against your success. Imagine two people with identical goals. Both want to build a thriving business. Both want to achieve financial independence, and both are willing to work hard. The first person treats the present as something to endure on the way to their goals. They wake up every morning thinking about what they haven't accomplished yet. Their journal is filled with deficiencies. They barely taste their morning coffee because their mind is 3 steps ahead. They exercise because they have to, not because they enjoy it. They work late into the night, sacrificing rest and relationships and simple pleasures along the way. The second person has the same goals, but they approach them differently. They wake up and genuinely appreciate the fact that they're alive, that they have the capacity to work towards something meaningful, and that today is another opportunity to build. They taste their coffee. They move their body not just to achieve a physique, but to feel strong and alive right now. They work with purpose and focus, but they also protect their time for rest and connection. By the end of the year, who do you think has made more progress on their goals? Almost universally, it's the second person. And they arrive there feeling far better along the way. This isn't about lowering your standards or becoming complacent. This is about understanding that contentment is actually a performance enhancer. When you stop fighting against the present moment, your brain has more energy to direct towards solving problems, creating solutions, and making progress on what matters. When you're not constantly in a state of dissatisfaction with where you are, your creativity increases. Your resilience increases. Your ability to take smart risks increases. You start making decisions from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. And abundance thinking produces exponentially better results over time. So how do you actually build this into your life? The first step is to start tracking what's already working. Most people keep detailed records of what's wrong and what they're missing, but they rarely document what's actually going right. Get a simple journal or open a notes app on your phone and write down 3 things that are genuinely good about your current situation. Not things that will be good in the future. Things that are good right now. Maybe you have your health. Maybe you have people who care about you. Maybe you have a job that, even if it's not your dream, pays your bills and teaches you something valuable. Maybe you have a quiet morning where you can think clearly. These aren't distractions from your goals. They're resources that will fuel your progress toward them. The second step is to create what I call milestone moments. These are deliberate pauses where you acknowledge progress, no matter how small. Here's the thing about human psychology. Your brain is biologically wired to focus on problems and threats. It's an ancient survival mechanism. But that same brain is incredibly capable of rewiring itself if you deliberately practice a different pattern. When you hit a milestone, when you finish a project, when you learn a new skill, when you take a risk and it pays off, when you have a day where you stayed focused and disciplined, you need to actually pause and feel that. Not mentally move on to the next thing you have to do. Actually feel the accomplishment. This could be as simple as taking 5 minutes to write about it. This could be telling someone about it. This could be sitting quietly and letting yourself experience genuine satisfaction. That experience reinforces neural pathways that link effort to reward, which makes it easier to stay motivated over the long term. The third step is to fall in love with the process, not just the outcome. This is where so many people get stuck. They're obsessed with the destination, the 6-figure income, the published book, the body transformation, the business exit. Those outcomes are fine to pursue. But if those are the only things that will make you feel successful, you're building your happiness on a foundation that might take years to materialize. What if instead you fell in love with becoming the kind of person who does the work? What if getting up early and meditating wasn't something you have to do to earn success, but something you do because you're becoming someone disciplined? What if working out wasn't just about the end result, but about the feeling of getting stronger today? What if learning something new wasn't just an investment in future credentials, but something you genuinely enjoy for its own sake? When you shift this perspective, everything changes. The work becomes intrinsically rewarding instead of something you endure. Now, like this video if you're starting to see how this could transform the way you approach your own goals. The distinction between future-focused ambition and present-moment contentment is subtle, but it's profound. And I want to make sure you're really getting it. The fourth element is what I call strategic patience. This doesn't mean you're passive or lazy. It means you're willing to trust the process even when immediate results aren't visible. Think about someone training for a marathon. The day-to-day run might seem insignificant. It's just 3 miles. It's just a 40-minute jog through the park. But repeated over months, those individual runs compound into the ability to run 26 miles. The person who's content while training for a marathon understands this. They're not frustrated that they're not at the finish line yet. They're focused on running well today, because they trust that consistent effort over time produces results. They can be fully present in their training run, noticing their breath, feeling their legs strengthen, enjoying the park or the music they're listening to, while simultaneously knowing they're building toward their goal. That's the paradox. You can be fully committed to a future outcome and fully present in today at the same time. The fifth element is comparison awareness. This is critical in a world where we're constantly exposed to other people's highlight reels. Someone else's success doesn't diminish yours. Someone else's progress doesn't slow down your progress. And yet, scrolling through social media or seeing someone else achieve something you want can trigger feelings of inadequacy that immediately jolt you out of contentment. Here's a practical truth. You can be inspired by other people without being diminished by them. You can celebrate someone else's win and stay focused on your own race simultaneously, but you have to be intentional about it. You might need to limit your exposure to comparison triggers. You might need to actively redirect your mind when you feel that jealous or inadequate feeling rising up. You might need to write down evidence of your own progress so it stays fresh in your mind. The goal isn't to never feel those feelings. The goal is to feel them, acknowledge them, and let them pass without letting them derail your contentment or your effort. Here's something important that people rarely talk about. Contentment doesn't mean you stop growing. Contentment doesn't mean you accept less than you're capable of. Contentment is actually the opposite of complacency. Complacency is resignation. It's giving up. Contentment is peace. It's doing your best work, giving genuine effort, and being at ease with where you are, while you move toward where you want to be. You can be completely satisfied with your effort and still unsatisfied with your results, in a sense that you want to improve. You can love who you're becoming and still want to become more. These aren't contradictions. They're the natural state of someone who's thriving. The sixth element is rest as a tool, not a luxury. Our culture has a weird relationship with rest. We treat it like something you've earned after you've suffered enough, after you've proven yourself through exhaustion. But rest isn't a reward for hard work. Rest is a requirement for sustainable hard work. When you're well rested, your decision-making improves, your creativity increases, your emotional regulation gets better, you're more patient with people, you're less likely to make impulsive choices you regret. So rest isn't a distraction from your goals, it's an investment in your ability to pursue them effectively. When you sleep 8 hours, when you spend an evening doing something that has nothing to do with your ambitions, you're not falling behind. You're recharging so you can move forward more effectively. A person who's content understands this deeply. They don't feel guilty about rest, they schedule it, they protect it, and they trust that it's part of their success. The seventh element is gratitude practices, and I don't mean this in a superficial way. Gratitude isn't about convincing yourself that everything is fine. It's about training your brain to notice what's actually good about your current reality alongside what you want to improve. You can be grateful that you have a body that works, while simultaneously working to make it stronger. You can be grateful that you have shelter, while simultaneously building toward a better home. You can be grateful for your current job, while building the business that will eventually replace it. These aren't contradictory states. They exist simultaneously in people who have figured out how to chase big goals without sacrificing their present moment well-being. When you practice gratitude, even just for 2 minutes a day, you're literally rewiring the neural networks in your brain to be more attuned to abundance. And when your brain is tuned to abundance, you make better decisions, take smarter risks, and move toward your goals with more creativity and resilience. Now, the final and perhaps most important piece is permission. You need to give yourself explicit permission to enjoy your life while you're building it. Not permission to stop working, not permission to abandon your goals, permission to actually experience your days as you move toward your future. Permission to laugh at a joke without immediately thinking about your to-do list. Permission to have a conversation with a friend where you're completely present instead of mentally rehearsing what you need to accomplish this week. Permission to eat a meal without checking your email. Permission to spend a Saturday morning doing something that has zero productive value. Permission to be human, not just a goal-achieving machine. This permission is not something anyone else can give you. You have to claim it for yourself. And the moment you do, something shifts. The tension you've been carrying starts to release. The constant background anxiety quiets down. You're still ambitious. You're still working toward your goals, but you're doing it from a place of wholeness rather than brokenness. And that wholeness is what actually sustains long-term success. So here's what I want you to do starting today. Pick one of these elements and implement it this week. Maybe it's creating a win journal where you track 3 good things every evening. Maybe it's scheduling 1 full day off and actually protecting it. Maybe it's setting a timer for social media so you reduce your exposure to comparison. Maybe it's going for a walk in nature where your only job is to notice what's around you. Pick one thing. Start small. Track how it makes you feel. Then next week, add another element. This isn't about overhauling your entire life overnight. It's about slowly, deliberately building new patterns that let you be content while chasing big goals. And I promise you, over time, this will completely transform not just how you feel, but the actual results you achieve.